passing of your great friend. I think it's Isban Greenshield. That is his name, Isban Greenshield. So you receive this letter written in pretty handwriting on nice parchment and fine ink, much akin to the fine ink that Tarlan uses in his ritual, which you better use. But
the fine ink.
The finest of that ink is fine. But depending on what you guys want to do, maybe your motivation instead of that hook is you've heard rumors of war and you want to get involved, and you're like, I just want to help people. I know how to tighten a screw. I know how to use a hammer. I've been around a forge. And maybe you just stumble upon this party who is heading to this funeral. So there's some food for thought there. Now, if you wanted to pivot and do something completely different, that's totally okay. You got a little time to think about that and some of those goals and motivations and stuff. But if you wanted to go that route, we could definitely work with it. Do you guys have any questions? Any pressing questions?
No.
You may or may not be able to answer. In your lifetime, they've always kind of been that mixed bag of like highly regarded and sort of a joke, where their infighting is the most combat anyone will ever see, which isn't actual infighting or actual combat, right? It's just bickering.
Question.
Yes.
Is this highly regarded because they are respected, or highly regarded because they are an overwhelming threat to
Very good question.
To the individual?
A little bit of both, and that kind of depends on how you guys want to flavor your own thoughts, because you could think of any backstory regarding the Knights, or like literally one of you could be like, they're fucking heroes, I want to join, and then one of you could be like, fuck those guys,
But
so
we're very much in the gray zone as far as that goes.
Yes,
like we are in the middle of the slide.
Yep, you can make any choice regarding that you want, but some people, depending on who you talk to, will be like, I fucking hate those guys. And then you think about America, and we've certainly been a part of some sham fucking conflicts. And if you were in one of those countries, you'd probably fucking hate those soldiers, right? So that could be a thing where it's like, yo, these guys did this fucked up shit and I'm not cool with it. Or you could just be like, well, these guys are absolute heroes and we need them to keep stability. Now, as far as occupying forces, things like that, they're primarily in Solamnia, which is not here. But they do have influence and reach across the entire continent, but they're not necessarily present everywhere. So it's not like you're always going to run into them. Most likely you would have to go to their home country of Solamnia and find them their hometown. And then, that's where most of them would be. But certainly there are some conflicts and some things where they might get involved.
And it sounds like they have political reach and influence that makes them a powerful voice outside of their own.
Yes, very much
Solamnia, so. Their own town. Okay, cool.
Very much Thank so. So you would never step to a Knight of Solamnia, right? Because that's like stepping to a cop or something. But honestly, instead of the military, I think the police force is a much better example where it's like, I've met cool cops, I've met some real shitty cops, and I think most of them probably suck. Some of them are chill, some of them do keep the peace, some of them do want to help people, and some of them are real pieces of shit. So even in real life, we have a mixed bag when it comes to like authority figures. And then as far as the mages of high sorcery go, that's the other big group. Most people regard them with fear. Some people might be like, oh shit, there's a fucking mage, man. I gotta go talk to him about wizard shit, Some people could easily be like, yo, magic's fucking weird and I don't like it. The idea of somebody being able to manipulate my mind, it's like if you met a fucking Jedi. I would not make friends with a Jedi. I would leave a Jedi the fuck alone because I know that whatever they want to do to me, they could do to me. So like they could Jedi mind trick me, you know, and that's kind of what you would feel, or most people would feel. Like you've like Jesse the Kender might be like, oh shit, like levitate me, dude. And then of course, you know, Tarlin is a member of that guild, or at least an initiate of the guild, who has not at this point taken the test of high sorcery, but is eager to. And I would say, just for the sake of saking, you can wear robes if you want, even though you're technically not a full-fledged member of the Mages of High Sorcery. So if you wanted to wear your white robes, you could totally do that. It wouldn't be like stolen valor or anything. I think, at least for this game setting, that would make a lot of sense.
It's like I'm a trainee, so it's like, oh, okay, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and also, you know, it makes sense in the way of like, you know, you may as well advertise yourself as a mage if you're going to be a mage, so that people know that you're kind of a big deal and, you know, somebody of import. But I would say when it comes to knights, when it comes to mages, a lot of people are a little standoffish. Obviously, some people would be like, oh, fuck, I gotta go talk to this person. Some people would be naturally curious, maybe a little standoffish. So it really is just however you guys want to play that. Any other questions? Oh, I have to look up the Knights of the Crown, but that's a really good question. Cooperation, loyalty, and obedience. Yeah, so that might be one of those things where it's like, you know, the secret society kind of thing. You know, that could be how people view the Knights of the Crown. It's like, oh, it's a secret society. And if memory serves, I think they're the second highest rank. I want to say Knights of the Rose are like the biggest deal, and I need to do more research on the Knights. But if memory serves, they are kind of the more controlling, domineering group right there. The Knights of the Rose. Let me look. That's a movie. Hold on. Yeah, so the Knights of the Rose are typically a little better regarded. They're known for leadership, justice, and wisdom. So more like a knight monk, you know, as opposed to like, you know, somebody's really big into authority and obedience. They're probably going to be a dick or a dom. So 50 Shades of the Knights of Solamnia. So with the Knights of the Rose, I would say they're probably a little softer in how they're perceived, and also probably a little bit better in general. And then the next one is Knights of the Thorn. Oh wait, that's Takesis. Knights of the Crown, Knights of the Rose. Who's the other one? Knights of the Shield.
Blah, blah, blah. Let me look.
I should really know this. So there's, so they do have a god. The Knights of Solamnia stand as the greatest order of chivalry in Ansalon, but there have been examples of corruption and disgrace among the knights. So it's kind of how you want to look at them, right? They were founded by Venus Solamnus in 1775 PC. I don't know what that fucking means. Oh, I think it's before the Cataclysm. So that big, oh, the gods hate us moment. They were founded a little bit before that, and it was in response to a vision sent by the big god of good Paladine, Kiri Jolith, who is a god who looks like a minotaur, who is the god of war, but he's a good god, and Habakkuk. Habakkuk is the water god, but he's a god of good. The Knights of Solamnia are dedicated to the protection of Solamnia and Ansalon. Ansalon is where you guys are. That's the continent you're on. Service to the gods of good, and above all to the ideals of order, give or fucking take. It's the Knights of the Sword, the Knights of the Crown, and the Knights of the Rose. Knights of the Sword serve the people of Ansalon as warrior clerics, crusaders, knights errant, combining the purest ideals of heroism and courage with the power of the gods of good and the heart. So the Knights of the Sword are definitely more of the like battlecaster kind of like, let me use my god-given powers from Paladine and let me heal you in battle. So I would say like paladins, just the general concept of a paladin doesn't have to be a paladin, but that ideal of like I fight for the gods of good, I'm trying to be a good dude. They teach courage, heroism, faith as key components of the honorable life. To the sword knight, life is a continual struggle against evil, both in the world and within the knight's own heart. Courage is necessary to resist the terrors and temptations of darkness, while heroism involves self-sacrifice and daring effort to force back evil and aid the innocent and virtuous. So it's honestly the only faction of knights where they give a fuck about good versus evil inherently. They are more compelled to be a knight of the sword to do great deeds and help people. Knights of the Crown are a little more like you better step in line, and it might not even be an evil thing, right? It might just be like, well, we can't have chaos, and if people are breaking the laws, then shit's gonna be fucked. It doesn't have to be like an evil thing necessarily. Any more questions about Solamnia? Because it is quite relevant. So the war that is upcoming is basically, well, I mean, you'll find out very quickly, right? So there is a god who, of all the gods in the last 300 years, is the only one who wants to come back. And in response to that god wanting to come back, the other gods are like, well, fuck this, because she sucks. So she's trying to enter this world, and in order to properly enter this world, she needs followers, she needs believers, she needs subjugation, she needs conformity, she needs obedience and loyalty. So you guys will be in the middle of this conflict. And what you want to do with that is up to you. But certainly there are talks of evil entities that are walking the earth who speak the name of a god whose name was long forgotten.
Hey, Matthew.
Yes.
If you would, give me the briefest recap of the largest overarching scope of all of this, because I was still trying to get my shit together when we were going through that first minute or so of conversation. So I'm broadly aware of kind of what the whole sort of deity situation is, but if you would just recap the specifics of it that as relates to the campaign itself.
Sure. So it is a war setting. There will be a conflict between perceivably good versus evil. Kind of depends on how you look at it.
Sure.
So there will be battles. You will be deeply involved in those battles. You might be, if Toshiko's artificer, maybe supplying the troops with God knows what. Maybe armor, maybe swords, maybe arrows, and earning renown that way. Or perhaps you are trying to heal the sick and assist people. Or perhaps you're trying to establish yourself as somebody who can influence the war however you see fit. So in that regard, it's kind of whatever you want to do. On a more short scale sort of thing.
Well, hold on though. Specifically, I was curious about the deep history and the deities involved. I was trying to get that scope of things sorted out. There's a time what I got was mankind sort of made a mockery of the gods, and the gods said, "Go fuck yourselves." And then tell me how close I am on that, and sort of how do we set the stage from there to here as far as the deity setting goes?
So that was 300 years ago. The gods have not been seen or heard from since.
Gotcha.
There are a lot of ruins that were created by the Cataclysm. The Cataclysm is wildly known as like the turning point in the history of the world you're in, which is called Rin.
We're 300 years out from the end of the world.
Yes. So it's
Yeah, okay.
it's not entirely post-apocalyptic, right? But
Okay,
it's a big transition to go from like your gods have your back and they're all over the place and they're helping you out and there's magic and healing and cool shit to I guess we got to figure this out. You know, it's not
For
quite going back to the
300 years,
caveman days, but
the gods have turned their back. That's the big thing.
yes. And
Is that
you
right?
know,
I'm just
and certainly that could be one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, there were gods, sure, you know.
Sure.
You don't necessarily have to be religious, and you might not know much about them, and most people wouldn't. I would say your character could know a deal about the gods.
Do we understand the deities and the magic in general to be connected in any way?
So there are
Like,
three gods of
Are we
magic.
thinking about time for pre-cataclysm where the gods being more active was tied to a different relationship to magic in the world, or is magic something separate from the deity situation?
Well, that's a good question, and there is the order of the mages of high sorcery, right? And these guys study their ass off, and they learn and learn and learn, and they dedicate their entire lives to learning magic. You know, like you would have to for any craft. So they are heavily involved in that. Now, some people might think that it's all a bunch of malarkey. They might not believe in magic. Some people might think that the gods have something to do with it. Some people might think that it's just, you know, holding on to the past and eventually the magic will go. It's really just however you guys want to play that. But I think most people would attribute magic to probably some sort of godliness, but divineness, like you know, and it's D&D, so you have clerics and paladins and people that heal and shit. So this is a unique setting because that's kind of not a thing when this starts. So any form of healing would be a sign of the gods returning, something to that effect. So
Or
it would shock
at least an unknown source of power, one way or the other.
Correct. Now there are rumors that perhaps maybe the gods are waking up. There are rumors of war. There are a lot of rumors, and nobody knows what's real and what's not. But you have heard enough things to make you feel that conflict has been brewing, and it could just be, you know, people making shit up. You know, there's no internet, so who fucking knows, right? So you just kind of hear what comes to you in a tavern or while you're on a boat or something like that. So you wouldn't necessarily have proof just because you've heard a rumor or two. Now, as far as the mages go, they do worship the moons. There is a good moon, a neutral moon, and evil moon, for, you know, lack of better terms. And that's Lunatari, Solinari, and Nuitari. So those are the gods that the mages worship. The only people that can see the moon, and so there are 3 moons, right? The only people that can see the 3rd moon are those who adhere to the black robes. So if you are a member of the Mages of High Sorcery and you do wear the black robes, theoretically, according to rumor, according to myth, you wouldn't fucking know, but apparently they can see the moon. And you might not know any of that, you know? It's kind of, you guys are travelers, you've been adventuring for God knows how long. And I'll say this about Kender. Kender can live for quite a while. They are naturally curious. They don't feel fear like most people do. And if you are an older Kender, then you've done something right along the way. You must have some skills or some uniqueness. So you could be a 20-year-old Kender. Maybe you just left your home and you're like, I just need something else, man. Or maybe you've been doing this for a little while and you've been out and you've kind of been searching for a while. So it's kind of just how you want to play that.
Okay, cool. Can you give me just the briefest on what you were mentioning with the
Knights?
The one deity that was sort of just where I started to ask questions.
God, you're gonna be
the one deity that was trying to get that was looking for followers to sort of reestablish some sort of presence in the realm, or not necessarily explain that to me, but just make sure that I'm up to speed with where you want us to be.
Okay, you don't have to start role playing now, dude. You're already in Tinder mode.
That's funny. Hey man, naturally curious.
No, you're doing great. Already, you're doing great. Just keep doing this through the whole campaign, and you will be perfectly role played. So your question is the gods in general?
Well, no, you had mentioned, and then maybe this is just something that I should just read some background literature on. I don't know. You let me know. But you had mentioned something about the post cataclysm. There was one of these gods, a female god that was looking towards the human realm again.
Yes.
And was just give me the broad strokes of what that is to the degree that it's useful now.
Super hot. Let's start there. She is smoking hot. So she's evil as fuck.
I didn't even ask the question. I love it.
Well, it's kind of just a matter of how you look at it, right? You know, the idea of good versus evil, it is what it is. But she is primarily pretty fucked, but her followers, her believers, they do it for a reason. And maybe they believe that she's the Messiah because she's coming back, right? So all of these gods have completely turned their back on the mortal races, and she's the one that's returning. So I think there would definitely be some people out there that are like, well, she's the only god that gives a fuck about us, right? And they might not realize that she has ambitions to return. And some of that will play out through role play and through experience. You know, some of us have read the books and shit, so we already know. But she is regarded as the big bad. So she we'll get more into it in the campaign and the role play and stuff. So you don't have to focus too much on that. It's kind of spoiler.
Perfect. I was just curious about the tie-in there. Thank you.
Yeah, but she is the Dragon Queen, and she does cast a shadow, and that is what this campaign is named after. So I don't feel too bad about bringing her up. So she is perceived by some as the big bad. That's kind of just how your character wants to look about her. Now, as a Kender, you might be like, "Yo, fuck that!" Like you're trying to fuck people, shut up. Or you might be like, "Yo, let's talk," which I don't recommend necessarily, but you know, it could happen.
Beautiful. Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Tosh?
We should do it. I'm still building, but I'm going to do Artificer Battlesmith.
Cool. I like it. Well, I will say I don't have anything to do for an hour, so if we wanted to start off the hook and kind of do a little basic role play, I'm open to that. It is session 0, so there's no pressure. But if you guys wanted to just have a conversation in character, I could set you guys up if you wanted to do that. There would be no combat, no nothing, so no pressure to have your sheet ready. But if you wanted to kind of, you know, dip your toes in and get a little rapport with the other characters, we can do that if you guys were open to it. This would be, so some of you, maybe all of you, maybe one of you, have received a letter regarding your friend Isben Greenshield, who has just passed. And perhaps one of you was worried about the dangers and you recruited these adventurers, or perhaps you just thought there might be some adventure. And you find yourself at a river that you have to cross in order to get to the town called Vogler. And that's where the funeral is being held. So maybe one of you has it, maybe all of you have it. And if you guys want to decide amongst yourselves or just kind of feel it out, it's perfectly fine. Maybe you just heard about adventure. Maybe you got hired to protect the party. And then the idea is that you would be in this boat together, just going down the river. And I can set that up if you guys would like. If you guys have time to maybe play that out for 20, 30 minutes. But if not, no problem.
Got time to mess with that. If you guys would give me just a couple of minutes to get checked into my hotel, I'm good. I've got earplugs in.
We can take a little break. Tosh, you feel good about it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Eddie?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm going to get a beer.
Good deal.
Oh.
Hell yeah. All right. I'm going to talk to this hotel lady. I'll see y'all in a second.
Okay, cool.
Just so you know.
And guys, we could even say that that Jesse the Kinder is trying to set sail with you and is running a little late. So maybe the three of you have gathered around this boat, waiting for this old man to take you up the river so you can go to the town of Vogler, and you're just waiting on this Kinder. Give me 1 second to grab a beer. I'll be right back.
I'm basically a scholar of funerary rites for various peoples of the world. So I'm like I'm a white robe mage, and I kind of just travel and administer to the dead as needed. I'm not a knight of Solamnia. I am an initiate of high sorcery. I'm not related to the knights at all. No, that not at all. We're our own. The mages of high sorcery are their own faction.
Okay, I have 1 Miller Lite, the official beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's open.
Does it also make you sad like them?
Did you guys happen to see what I titled the campaign? It's okay though. It's wrong. It's totally fine. Don't worry about her.
Haley, enough.
Hello. Sorry about the timing.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
I'm actually feeling.
I was just thinking that I should have this done already, but
That's all right.
Well, you have time. You have plenty of time.
that's true.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jared's still checking in to his hotel, so I think you're good there.
And I mean, unless you guys want to get real weird with it, I don't anticipate any real roles.
Haley,
Really?
enough.
Yeah, same here.
For companions, are they like always there, or can you like put, I don't know, have them fold into themselves and hide and shit?
Go over that one more time for me.
The Steel Defender for the Battlesmith. It's like a companion, but I didn't know if it was like constantly present or if it was like something that could collapse on itself or.
It's kind of. I think it like follows you around or something like that. I
Yeah,
thought.
let me double check it real quick. Accompanied by, so in their work, battlesmiths are accompanied by a steel defender, a protective companion of their own creation. So I'd say, yeah, it just kind of hangs out with you.
Okay, because you guys then would definitely see this. I don't know what race I am yet, but
Well, I'll say if you wanted to be sneaky about your defender, you can certainly do that. So if you did want it to collapse, I'm very okay with that. If you just want to like have like a little ball that you can just like a little Pokeball, like
Yeah.
companion, I choose you. You can totally do that if that's what you want to do. My mentality for this campaign is to be as very adaptable as possible. Your gods, it's a game. Do what makes sense. Do what makes you happy.
Oh man, I gotta.
And so, Tosh, if you're not taking any of the backgrounds that would give you a free feat, you can get 2 feats. And just like Eddie, if you wanted to go human variant, you get a 3rd feat out of the 5. We'll make it
That's what I wound up doing, was going human variant, not for, honestly, just to finish out my roleplay flavor with the.
I mean, rules is
virtual
written in a
cast.
campaign. The way it works is if you don't take one of those backgrounds, then you get
Yeah.
your choice of either tough or skillful.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I want y'all to be powerful and have fun.
Like I said, honestly, like I took my feats to make my character even more flavorful and give me like the kind of the cleric like splash that I want with what I'm doing. But maybe go divinely favored next if I've earned it.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. I can go over the handout, and I can show you guys that handout.
So what happens if we choose one of the backgrounds? You said it was knight or mage, essentially.
So you get a free feat if you take one of those backgrounds. If you don't, rules is written. It says you can take tough or skillful at level 1, and then at level 4 it expands to other feats that you can take for free. But I mean, I rolled up Jared's character and I gave him lucky, and then I gave him the extra bonus from the thief in BG3, where they modified it and made it a little cooler. So it's literally, you can have your steel defender, you can take a couple feats, whatever makes sense for you. You can go flavor, you can go power. I don't really care. I mean, obviously, if somebody's lagging behind, you'll be level 3 for a while. So, you're supposed to start at level 1 in this campaign. I'm like, fuck it, be level 3, be strong as fuck. I'll scale it up a little bit, make sure it's fun. But in reality, if somebody is like, just obviously underpowered compared to everyone else, we'll figure something out. They'll get a magic item or something.
Yeah, I was debating taking like the knights, but like maybe having left because they were like, you gotta fight with a sword and I can use martial weapons, but it's like, but I want to fight with this metal thing as well. And they were like, that's blasphemy. And she said, well, fuck you.
I like it. That's a good backstory already.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking maybe.
So let's start with Hunter. Hunter, would you have received one of these letters from Becklin Uth V. Haran about your dear friend Isbin Greenshield? Or would you have some other reason to be here heading to Vogler? Let's go to Whisper.
Okay.
Okay. So I didn't want to just say like we can talk about this privately, but I feel like it would be sick if you stole this letter from somebody. Yes. Cool. I like that. So when you got this letter, was it handed to you by the person who? So you're in the Blue Dragon Army, correct? So the Dragon High Lord for the Blue Army would be Kitiar Uthmatar, who is also so hot. But she could have conceivably given you this letter and said, go infiltrate. Or maybe she said, find a way to spy, and you murdered somebody that had this letter. And you're like, this is my fucking end. Now, you would know this because you're part of the Dragon Army. There's about to be an attack on Vogler. There's this Kingfisher Festival, and during the Kingfisher Festival, there will be a war reenactment. But the other side of war reenactors will actually be the Dragon Army, and they will murder the fuck out of a lot of people. You would be privy to this. So I don't know if the idea is necessarily that you're supposed to infiltrate, look like a good guy, maybe try to help them out during this battle, and try to earn your way in. And maybe that's a very smart plan, right? Like, so perfect. Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, I love that. Obviously Eddie knows a little bit about what you're doing, but hopefully that'll be fun. But yeah, so you do have this letter. You're convincing everyone that Ispin is your good friend, and you will be traveling to Vogler where you know there will be an attack. And your goal is to try to befriend the people who are attacked and look like a good guy so that you can infiltrate and get information and eventually manipulate the war for your own ambitions. Cool. I'll see you on the other side. You'd be squires at this point. Yeah, you'd be squires, and then yeah, I mean you would already be a knight, but not within the army of Solamnia. So you've taken the identity of a squire, who would be within the knighthood, if you so choose. Exactly, yeah. So I mean, you think about the hierarchy of it, and you'd be an intern basically. So okay.
Welcome back.
So Eddie, you're next. If you want to join me in Whisper, let's talk about your motivations.
Okay. I'll pop over there with you.
Pretty good, man.
Ups and downs as usual. I've been real busy for the last month or month and a half. I've been sort of out of town for social events pretty much every weekend, and then working every week. I'm in this little town called Bowie right now, north of Fort Worth, working for a couple days. But yeah, no, it's been chill overall. How about you? What's up? What's up with you? Mm-hmm. Did you were doing school stuff as well, right? Did you finish up your last round of stuff? Right. Another set. Okay. Cool. Very cool. What specifically are you working on? Okay. Very cool. Very cool. How much time a week are you spending on school stuff right now? Or what sort of are you taking regular classes, or is it a certification, or what? Okay. Sure. Sure, sure, sure. They both kind of go together. Cool. That's yeah, that's good. Hustling. Yeah, no, this is actually pretty exciting. Matt has probably mentioned, like, I haven't messed with this stuff since I was, oh shit, it's been what, 20, 25 years probably. I was 14 or 15 the last time that we did this stuff. And he was like, "Hey man, do you want to do this thing?" And I was like, "Well, I really want to, but I really don't think that I'm going to consistently have time to do it." And then I was like, "You know what? What the hell else are you doing?" So yeah, there's even just this evening has been really fun to just sort of kind of, dive back into that mindset. It's kind of a cool place to be. Oh, I appreciate that. No, I'm very happy to be here. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited about it. Yeah, well, it's not the same character necessarily, but it is the same character in all general respects.
Do you want to hop in Whisper real quick?
Who?
No. Tosh.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Bye, guys. Have
There we
fun
go.
whispering.
What you doing there, Hunter? Yeah.
Oh, I know you guys work together. I'm well aware that you guys work together.
Have worked together for years.
Oh yeah. No. I've met you guys both at the house before, and also even more than that, I've every single day for the last year, I've listened to Matt bitch about work for at least 15 minutes a day, and sometimes a lot longer. So
Yeah.
I'm well aware of the ins and outs of the general goings on with you guys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, no, he has, it's funny because he's gone back and forth with it. Like I think he knows that he's in a good spot and he's doing good stuff and he's learning good stuff and like he's, working with good people. But then he also, and I get it because I have the same thing, like there's definitely, he just goes like there's times when it's like the shit that I have to deal with and like the piles of stress or whatever, it's like, dude, I just don't want to fucking do this. Like I'd like, and it's been less so lately, but there was, 6 or 8 months ago, the first few months as he was trying to get sort of acclimated to it. Every time I talked to him, he'd just be like, dude, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go back to the theater and I'm just going to work at the theater. And I'd be like, Matthew, that might be fine now, but like 5 years from now, that's not going to be okay. And like, 10 and 15 years from now when you can't fucking walk up and down those stairs for fucking 6 hours at a time, like that shit's not going to work. Like you have a good thing going, work with it, and I think he really has. I mean, the fact that he's in Los Angeles and working with you guys and making all of this happen all of a piece is, I think, is really, really great for him. And I'm very excited for him. And I think he's probably just as excited. So I think, being there with you guys has been a huge boon for him as far as being able to get his life sort of situated in a way that he can be, doing cool shit that he wants to do. So it's a good setup. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so yep.
Awful.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's like that's the front lines of all the shit. Like that's where all of this like all of the problems are, and then you have to be like, cool, I have a response for you, and also like I can only fix part of this, and then I have to talk to the person who's going to fix it. So it's just so much
Right,
juggling and
yeah.
so much customer service and all of that. But he's got a great skill set with that. He used to manage restaurants for forever, and I always crack up when I see him in work guy mode because he's fucking like he cannot be phased. Like he is like he's in the zone, dude. He's a blank slate, and his bedside manner is so good. Like he can be so charming, and he can also do that thing that not everybody can do, where you're giving somebody a piece of information, or like sometimes that piece of information is like, hey, you're a dick, but also you do it in a way where it's like they don't actually realize until later, like, oh, that's what happened. Like I used to see him do that in the restaurant all the time, where it's just like, yeah, like you've had too many and you can't be here, or like, no, I'm not comping that ticket because you just came in here for free food.
Okay. And then,
Matthew,
yes.
hook us up. Tell us what's up.
Okay, Jesse.
Yes, that's me.
So there's some people in this party that have, and some people that haven't received a letter. But word on the street is there is a guy named Isbin Greenshield. Isbin Greenshield is passed away, and his funeral's coming up. There's also a Kingfisher Festival. The Kingfisher Festival has a annual war reenactment. It's just kind of like a fair, like a medieval fair. Like it's
I love it.
cool and fun. So maybe that's your motivation. Maybe you were friends with Isbin Greenshield, and maybe at some point he showed you kindness when most people don't show Kinder kindness. And perhaps you were friends with him and received this letter. So would you have known Isbin Greenshield, or would you be motivated by the Kingfisher Festival, or are you just trying to get out of town?
I was actually just headed in this, not just in this general direction, but trying to get to this town just because it's the nearest place that I can get to what I'm trying to get to. I am not familiar, though I've heard that this Kingfisher died. I was curious about the festival, but I did not come here for that.
Okay. All right. So all of you but Jesse, you find yourself on the bank of the Vanguard River, and you've been informed that there's only one ship that goes up the river, and it's only 1 week at a time. So if you don't leave now, you would miss the funeral of Isbin Greenshield, and you would miss this upcoming festival. So you've all been gathered around for various motivations. Jesse, you're not here yet, but tell me your names one more time. Actually, can you put them in chat, please? I know Tarlin. Or if you want to just rename yourself in voice, that'd be great.
You right
What I
click on
did
my
was...
name and edit server profile.
Yep. That
Edit server profile, and then you on none profiles you get server nickname.
Ethelflod?
Ethelfled.
Ethelflod. Okay, Ethelflod. So Tarlin, Ethelflod, Jesse. So, okay, cool. So Calixto, Tarlin, and Ethelflod. You have approached this boat. It doesn't look unsturdy, and you can handle yourselves, thankfully. But you do have a sense of not exactly dread, but mindfulness. It looks intact. You've all kind of studied it, and your lives might depend on this structure to get you across this river. You'll be flowing downstream, so it should be a quick trip. But you are under the impression that it could take half a day, depending on how the current's flowing, to get where your destination is. And from there, you'll have to travel a little bit on foot. There is an old man who is attending this boat, watching you all with a little bit of caution, hoping that you don't steal his one source of income, his prized vessel, the Mermaid. So you're kind of standing there, and there's a little bit of impatience. And the old man indicates to you that there's one more guest that will be attending on this voyage. And that's when Jesse runs across the tree line, hauling ass, running desperately to not catch this, or to not miss this boat. And that's the situation you guys find yourselves in. It was a modest fee. He does do this for a living. So you did pay 5 silver each for this voyage. It seemed a little steep, but you knew it was the only way that you'd be able to reach your destination in time. So you all coughed up your 5 silver, except for Jesse.
This boat is important for me to catch. I've got mine here in my pocket. But you're right, I haven't paid yet.
Right. And as you run up, you're panting a little bit, breathing heavy. Your hands are on your hips. You kind of fall to one knee and get up instantly. And the old man stretches out his hand, and it's a little shriveled as if he's been in the water all day. And even if he hadn't been, he's old, so who knows? But he stretches out this old, wrinkly hand and asks you for the 5 silver.
I'm hoping I have 5 silver in my pocket. I assume I do.
You do, yeah. You definitely have that. Would you like to pay?
I'm definitely paying him, and I'm very thankful for his service.
Okay.
I know the life of a boatman.
All right. So the old man kind of looks everyone over, studies them. If you wouldn't mind, just kind of describe your characters, and we'll just start in my voice order, and that's going to be Calixto. If you wouldn't mind describing yourself just a little bit and talking a little bit about your character. Correct. I mean, you could if you really wanted to, but you don't necessarily have to. Okay.
Let's see. Yeah. Sorry, one sec. So my character Tarlin is around. Oh, sorry. Is it on me?
Sure.
Okay. Sorry. Tarlin is around 5'10", very moderate build, slight, bit of a beard, mustache and beard, brown hair, blue eyes, very bookish looking, and doesn't wear the white robes, but has a white band around his normal just clothing around his arm. He's very quiet and seems just very curious about everything around him and just taking everything in. If something is really something really intrigues him, he'll take out a little notebook and start writing down about his observations about it. Probably the weirdest thing about him is that he's got a. Let me see my little. I'm going to the background real fast. I'm looking at my charm. Sorry. Where is it at? Sorcery. There is there's a scroll wrapped tight attached to his belt that he just kind of fidgets with nervously every so often.
And he's wearing white robes, I'm guessing.
Well, he doesn't wear the white robes because I guess he's still an initiate, but he's got the he wears a white band, a cloth band around his left arm.
Okay. And so not necessarily obviously a caster.
I mean, he just looks very bookish, but yeah, not necessarily a caster.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add?
No, not right now.
Okay. Jesse, tell me a little bit about Jesse. How does Jesse look? We're in character creation right now.
I get you. Jesse is at the moment a little road worn and sweaty. He's panting a bit. He's generally slight, not tall.
No, he's not tall. He's very short.
Yeah, but he's good looking.
Good.
He's he's I say he. Jesse is. I don't use pronouns. Jesse is dressed as a traveler, low key and comfortable, but also, you know, linens and leathers, anything to get by out on the road. Appears youngish, but you realize when you look a little closer, this is probably not necessarily a young person for being kinder. Yeah, that's appearance.
Okay. Anything you want to add?
No, I think that gets us by for the moment.
Okay. Tosh, you want to tell us about Ethelflaed?
Sorry, is it my turn?
Sure is.
Sorry, I had to use the restroom real quick.
You did perfect. We can give you a second if you need it.
No, I'm good now. Thank you. So I am playing Ethelflaed. She is a half elf. A build similar to like Korra from the Avatar. She has like very blonde hair, very like light blue eyes. Has like scars because you can tell like through like training she was a knight or like she's starting kind of the knight process, but isn't typical what you would consider like knight material. Again, maybe more vocal and combative than other initiates and all that stuff. She is followed around by, I imagine like General Grievous, kind of a little bit like this kind of like skeleton of metal and like just gears and shit.
Cool.
Yeah, she kind of has like smudges probably from like charcoal and stuff. Like she works with weapons and forges and like making stuff. Like she's kind of hard, but also not hard because she's half elf, so it's weird. She's like dirty but glowing sometimes. Like,
and I would say everyone's kind of studying each other right now. Would you have like calloused hands? Like
probably, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I don't know. She's pretty good with pretty much a lot of weapons. Yeah, probably more of a fighter than magic for sure.
Okay.
But
all right.
Yeah.
The ferryman.
Added leather armor.
So you've got leather armor. You have like some metallic, kind of not quite bracers, but almost like metallic sleeves with some gears and stuff.
Yeah, like little hammers and tools and pouches for shit and.
Okay.
Definitely a lot of tools. Maybe I don't know. Maybe a shield. We'll see. I don't know if you allow firearms in this, but have like a light crossbow.
Sure. If you want to do firearms.
Oh yeah, cool. Maybe the defender's probably again the most obvious like tell, I guess.
Okay. And is your defender out in the open or concealed?
Right now I guess out in the open.
Okay. Describe your defender.
Again, I imagine sort of like General Grievous, just
Oh, you're
kind of a
defending.
skeletal, like metal frame with like, cogs and like whatever or gears where like joints should be, and just very sinewy and scrappy looking.
So that's your defender. You're basically wearing your defender.
Wait, what?
Is the
Defenders
defender
are like they're the
companion?
companions, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So help me understand. So the gears and the like, you're basically wearing these metal geary sleeves, and that is your companion. That looks like General
They're
Grievous.
like an automaton.
Okay, so
Well,
totally separate.
they move separate from me.
Okay, cool.
Cause it takes my initiative and like goes like right after me. But
what is it powered off of? Like clockwork, steam engine, something like that.
yeah, like probably being wound in gears and just like you would
Clockwork.
old watches and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dope.
Indeed.
Clockwork.
We'll see. I might modify that. But kinetic energy, I guess. Yeah, every time it moves, it like these things swirl that like magnetize the whatever battery that somehow powers it. Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe goggles. We'll see. I don't know yet.
Sure. Well, you've got plenty of time. We can always retcon if we need to.
Yeah.
So the ferryman kind of looks your companion up and down and says, "Well, that will be another 5 silver."
She kind of like glares at him. What do you mean another 5 silver? It's a machine.
Well, if it's got legs and it has a tuchus, then it's taking up a seat.
She pointedly looks at the machine and I don't know your name for it yet, so I'm gonna skip that. Commands it go home, and it's gonna like clock, 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 and just piece by piece start to like fold in itself until it's like, I don't know, a giant pocket watch size, or I don't know, just something.
Mobile.
Yeah, like a little, like the size of a lantern, like a little portable lantern, just like a machine like that, little box, lantern box. Now, is it still 5?
Well, according to my rules, there's no longer legs and there's no longer a tuchus. You win this one, miss.
She kind of like, gets a little confident out of that, and gives him like a knowing smirk, and goes, "I thought so," and we'll give him the money.
Well, I must confess, this is the biggest outing I've seen in a long time. What brings you all here?
There's a funeral. Am I on? Yeah. There's a funeral up the road. I plan to learn this town's customs regarding those.
What about you, Kenda?
Hey, what's the name of the town we're headed to?
Vogler?
Vogler. Cool. My business takes me to Vogler.
Well, I'll be rowing with one hand and keeping my other hand on my pouch, so don't you get any ideas, Kenda?
I would never cross a kind boatman.
Well, if you're all ready, let's board and get to sailing. He kind of hops in. You can see him like untying the rope as he gets inside of the boat.
Unfounded rumors and vicious at that.
He's just sitting at the front of the boat with his oars in hand. Um, as you're studying him, you do kind of wonder if you're in the most capable hands. It does seem surprising to you that most of the boatmen and the fishermen that you've dealt with are a little younger and a little brawny. And this guy is wearing like old clothes that are kind of tattered, and you're not entirely certain that he will be able to get the job done. And I feel like as you're studying him, there might be a little concern that maybe at some point you guys would have to row the boat. Okay. Do you guys board the boat?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he's been disembarked for maybe 5 minutes or so, and I think you're all kind of looking each other over, wondering if perhaps there's danger or if the people are trustworthy. If you guys want to have a little RP moment and kind of talk amongst yourselves, you're more than welcome to do that. Or if you want to just ride silently, you can do that as well.
Well, my work takes me all over. I generally just learn what I can everywhere I can so that I may ease others' burdens. Well, it's dear Mr. Greensleeves, his sorry, dear Mr. Greensleeves, family and friends. That's why this is why I travel. There's like shield, green shield. Sorry, green shield.
Stop.
Green shield.
Is that in character or out of character? It can be either.
No, I didn't say. Sorry, I totally
So
messed up
his
the
actual
name.
name is Ben Greenshield, but if this is an indication that you're not very familiar with him, by all means, roleplay that. But if you're trying to nail the name, his name is Ben Greenshield, and he is a fairly well-renowned person.
Is there something you want?
Are you telling me you don't know we're going to his funeral?
Friends, are you not able to read?
Ethelfled shrugs and comments. He had such a big name, just going to see what all the hubbub's about.
No, not for a second. I'm curious how anybody could have a group of friends as spirits as this one to come to their funeral. Are you all closely familiar, or is this a larger affair?
Did anyone else necessarily have that apply to them?
No, like again, I'm a traveling scholar that happened to hear about the funeral, and I'm doing my studying.
What was the specific question?
Yeah, Jesse's infatuated with the idea of having this warm group of people that could conceivably travel such a long way. And I think perhaps Jesse, who has been trying to find themselves and has this sense of wonder about the idea of that kind of connection, is wondering if y'all have that shared connection with Isbin Greenshield.
Yeah, what kind of person is this guy that this group of people would all be drawn to the funeral as a way of sort of maybe digging more into say that's beyond beyond the one connection of having known him as a childhood friend. Does anybody else here actually know him? So far, it seems like no.
No, she never. She just knows the name. You know.
You're asking the old man?
Ah.
Oh, well, I've known many people over a very long time, and I would like to think that I know a lot of people. But that's very subjective. There are knights in Solamnia that certainly have people that revere them and respect them, but they don't necessarily love them. And then there are the mages of the high sorcery who certainly have their peers, but just because people know them, who knows how well they were revered? And for me, I'm just an old man who will one day, very soon, follow the fate of this Isbin Greenshield. Did I know him? I knew of him. Most people do, especially in these parts, but for me, I just hope that there are travelers like you who will come to attend my funeral and pay their respects, even if they didn't know me, just like you don't know him. And I think those connections and forming those bonds, I think that's what life is about. You don't know? Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna real quick reconnect my phone.
So his back is turned to you. As he's speaking, all you can hear is his voice, which sounds a little more sagacious and a little more thoughtful than the guy who was trying to scam Aethelflaed out of 5 more silver. So this level of wistfulness and thoughtfulness, you're not sure if it's just an old man who is kind of thinking about his own end now that the idea of death has been brought up. And you can't really get a good read on whether or not he was talking shit. But you're welcome to inquire further. What I will say is sometimes when it seems like there is an end, there is a beginning. And it might not seem like it at first. But sometimes those ends are what propel everything forward. And with that, he kind of rose and rose and rose. And if you guys don't have anything else for this little voyage, we can call it there. Or if you guys want to have some more RP, another scene, some more conversation, you're welcome to do that as well.
No, that's okay.
All right.
I got nothing specific.
What was that?
I said I'm good with that. I don't know where to go next. We can.
Does Aethelflaed have anything to discuss? Or?
How far away is the island that we're going to?
So it's roughly, you've been sailing for about 5 minutes. Depending on the current, it can be 8 to 12 hours. So you've got a while.
Shit. Okay.
You'll take a stop or two here and there to, use the nature facilities and have a quick bite. And
Is this like a ferry boat or like a rowboat?
it's like a ferry boat, but he's rowing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quaint in size. You can tell that he's not used to hauling this many people. The boat itself is sturdy enough. And so far, you haven't seen any signs of enough haggardness of this boat to really question whether or not it can get you there. Like, you feel confident this guy seems to know what he's doing. So, yeah, roughly 8 to 12 hours, depending on how long it takes you to... And this, I guess it's worth mentioning, this is early. So it's probably
Yeah,
an
I
hour
was going to
through,
ask
like
about what
7
time of
a.m.
day did we get on this boat?
Like 7 a.m. So you would expect to
Okay.
disembark roughly sundown, give or take.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, cool.
And we're going to an island or like another like what?
You're going to go down the river and then you'll disembark. If you are generally asking the ferryman, he would say that you are going to disembark and it's roughly a day's travel from where he'd be dropping you off to Vogler. So in realistic timeline, you'd get there, sundown, probably camp out for the night, and then travel for a day on foot. And then you'd be in Vogler. So you'd make it, you'd still have some spare time. You factored in the idea of perhaps an injury or wear, or maybe you're like, okay, you guys go ahead, I'm just going to hang back. Like, you kind of factored that idea into it. So once you disembark, you would camp, and then you'd probably have about 3 days before you'd have to get to the funeral.
So we're 3 or 4 days out of the funeral.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And one of the reasons you had to travel a little bit early is because you knew this was the only ferry that would get you there, and it's easily the fastest way to travel. So otherwise, it would take you much, much longer on foot. It's as safe to travel as anywhere. Now, there's no reason to believe it wouldn't be safe. In your mind, this is not an occupied land. Now, there might be some bandits, some goblins, that kind of stuff, but all of you are more than capable. And you've definitely dealt your fair share of death or escaped plenty of situations where you feel confident that you wouldn't be in harm's way, except if anyone on this boat were a potential threat. And I think that that's something that would probably be going through all your minds. You'd be sizing each other up, thinking about who might be the most confrontational, the most dangerous. At this point, none of you have any real bonds. or any allegiance to one another. So I think the only danger you'd be really concerned about would be in this boat. That'd be your only real concern. I mean, you've got you, who is, Calixto is worn and looks to be capable. You've got Tarlin, who is certainly appears to be more than what is presented at first blush, right? You have a Kender, and then you have Aethelfled, who certainly looks to be, a little grizzled, worn hands, calluses, smudged face. Looks to be somebody who is physically capable. And at this point, none of you trust each other. None of you know each other. You could roll for it. You're gonna roll a d20. Let's give me. You can give me history. Give me history. $14. So you get the impression that this is a person who is crafty. You recognize the smudges as perhaps oh, come on, it's the same. No. So you recognize the smudge. Tosh, what would that smudge be exactly? Would it be charcoal? Would it be grease, maybe?
Both are equal likely. Because she'll work in smithies and forges and, work with the metals to bend that and, make these machines, but also have to oil them. So could be ash or oil, or maybe a mixture of both.
And would you have been a part of like a guild or a group or somebody like that, just to give a little extra bonus for history over insight?
I mean, I'm not. Maybe. I feel like I don't know if the guild would be now or later, because again, she's trying to become a knight. But
Okay. So not
maybe
necessarily like an artisans guild or something that would necessarily be working with geary sort of crafts, but certainly somebody
why?
who,
She'll go visit them to maybe go over ideas and bounce them off them. But I think she's more of a self-taught, learned through experience type of person.
okay.
I don't know if she'd really be able to afford a school or a guild. Maybe that'd be another dream too, but between the guild and becoming a knight and changing the war, she wanted to do that.
Okay.
So she wants more of the function and utilization and the practicality over the artistry and maybe using it as for other people. But yeah, she wants the war. She would probably be in favor for the war.
Okay. So, Calixto, you've definitely heard of people that work with gears and smiths of sorts who not only use their smithing prowess for creation, but also for defense and offense as well. So there would probably be people around who are of a similar nature. So yeah, just a little extra for rolling history over insight. You've probably heard of people like this, or maybe seen people like this who are craftsmen of sorts, but don't necessarily you don't necessarily know anything beyond that. It's a good question. Are y'all wielding weapons?
Staff that I've
Insight.
been walking with.
If it's readily seen, so Eddie, is Tarlin wearing a dagger that's out in the open?
No, I have a staff that I've been using to walk with, walking stick.
Okay. Does it have any potential magical? Like, is there anything that would be a tell?
On it, not really. I have a bunch of. The weirdest thing is that he has like a ring of small holy symbols from various lands on it. That's probably the weirdest thing, and it's definitely not just. It's like just as it's an eclectic collection of them. It's as many as there would be. Like as many places as he's traveled to, he has. If they have some kind of religious symbol, he would have attached it to his staff.
Okay. What about Jesse? And I do have to wrap this up in like 2 minutes. But does Jesse have anything going on with weapons? Now, Jesse, you do have a short sword and a short bow. And whether or not you have it brandished or underneath a cloak or something like that is up to you.
Yeah, no weapons brandished. I do tend to keep my clothing has some spare cords and some things of that nature on it. My bow may be slung over my back, but I don't keep a quiver out, and whether or not I have any daggers or any other implements they wouldn't be visible if they were there.
Okay. All right. Well, I do have to wrap this up. Is there anything anyone really, really wants to do while we're sailing down the sea until we'll start our next session disembarking, unless somebody has something really want to do right now.
All good here.
And we can always start the little RP right before we disembark too. That's always on.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a great little campaign. I'm already liking everyone's characters. Everyone did a great job tonight. It was certainly on the fly, but session zeros always are. So, yeah, we'll start off next week disembarking. We'll do camp, and then we'll set off on our journey as the rumors more intensify.
Hell yeah.
All right, dudes. Well have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Night. Hey,
Thanks,
Matt.